So picture this. You came into possession of your parents or your grandparents or other relatives' documents, photographs, and scrapbooks. Now what? What do you do with it besides putting it in the attic or the garage or the basement and forgetting about it? Well, I am here to help. My name is Tia Stenson. I am an emerging archival professional. I am a recent graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I received my master's in library and information science with a focus in archival studies. I am going to share with you some of the best practices I learned during my time in school and my various internships so that you can best care for your own family history collections. So we are talking about preparing our family collections for documents, for digitization, organizing your documents the Archivist way. Some people just want to jump into digitization, but we shouldn't. There are reasons that most archives and museums do not have all of their collections digitized and available online, because it can be a lengthy, long, and expensive process because there are steps that need to be included. This process includes things like creating a list of materials of your collections, knowing what you have and what are in those collections, ensuring the privacy of their donors are protected, because some collections might have, especially if they're government collections, might have personal information that shouldn't be shared out in the public, and labeling those materials so that they are findable in their catalog or on an internet search. So this is as simple as labeling folders, labeling documents, but also other things like keywords and subject terms that allow things to be searchable on your Google. Most archivists state, with this material, state that the most valuable lesson they learned in a digitization project is the value of having a collection thoroughly processed and rehoused within that before planning a digitization project. So they're saying there are things that you need to get done first before digitizing your materials to make it more effective and efficient. And so we are going to be focusing on the first step, which is surveying and arranging our collections. So when archives receive new collections, these collections go through a system called arrangement and description, where arrangement is the process of organizing materials with respect to their provenance and original order to protect their context and to achieve physical or intellectual control over the materials. In addition, description is a set of data crafted to identify and represent an archival resource or component thereof. We are going to be focusing on the arrangement part first, which means taking the chaos of your collection and making it organized. So this is just a few pictures of a family collection that I'm working on for my own family, where these first couple images are how the material originally came in. There are bunches of documents shoved into envelopes, no sort of order to them, and one of my initial steps of organizing them, so placing them into piles of similar things, into more organized, coherent folders. So with that, arrangement is basically organizing your collection. This tends to mean physically placing your collection in a logical order, or sometimes if you cannot do that, when you have digitized material, putting your digital material in a logical order or making your inventory in a logical order. There are two principles that archivists work with when it comes to arrangement. One of them is respect to fonts, which is the principle maintaining records according to their origin and in the units in which they were originally accumulated. So for an example, I want to show you some things. So this is permanent.org is a place that I like to put my digitized files as a backup, and it is a place where I can privately share my family history materials with my family before I put them on public interfaces. So these items right here, this AAR Richard and Alice Rausch collection, BCM Cal Med collection, HT, Henry Thumb Collection, OMS, my Orpha Medhog Stenson Collection, RT, Richard Thumb Collection, and of course TS, T.S. Stenson Collection. These are all bonds of material that came from these specific people. And instead of having just a overarching, Tia Stenson has all this family history stuff now because she is a family archivist in a one thing, they're separated out in their provenance or the location that they came from. So the materials in the Richard and Alice Rausch collection are things that came from my grandparents. Cal Madhug is a cousin, I believe, of my father, and so this material he's given me. Henry Thumb is a great uncle, or from Medhog was my great grandmother, and I have material from that. Richard Thumb was a great uncle, and then of course materials that I've created myself. So all of these are separated into different collections, so that, and with that, you know where they came from, and then if you get more materials from that person, they can go into that collection. And then the second one is the original order. And original order is the organization and sequence of records established by the creator of the records. So with this means keeping materials in the order that they were found. However, this might not always be attainable if the materials are found with no order in some sort of chaos, as I showed you in the previous slide. Here. So with this, I'll be using the example of my Richard Thumb collection I'm currently processing because it's huge. My great uncle passed away last year. He lived in the family farmhouse. So after his death, when my parents went through his home, they found a treasure trove of family history documents of himself, his siblings, his parents, and documents related to the family farm. These were housed in various boxes that had no particular arrangement, which you can see here. So it's been my job to organize them myself. And how did I do that? So I have a initial sort of document type, which you can see here in this image here, where I organize things by doing a general sort. So I separate things to like, oh, these are family letters, these are medical documents, these are receipts, these are contracts, these are medical documents. And then after that, after I've kind of done that sort, I put them into a folder where I will lightly pencil label the folder with a temporary label of what's in there. Then I go folder by folder and I reorganize it into smaller categories if it's applicable. So this would be an example of if I have a whole bunch of receipts, I organize the receipts by where they came from. Are there a bunch from the same store? Is there just a ton? Like I have a ton of Farmer Union oil receipts, and which I've had because there's so many of them, I separate them by year. So then you want to think about those other smaller categories that one folder can make, and if there's enough to make sense to separate them that way, because the smaller, the closer, the more divided you can make the folders, where it's separated into specific things, the less that they have to be handled, and you can be like, this is the stuff I'm looking for, it's right there, I only have to go through those few papers instead of going through a thick folder of like 100 papers and touching all of those fairly fragile papers. So putting them into folders like that and separating them out actually helps preserve them by less handling. And then with that, after I've reorganized them, I've removed staples, paper clips, and rubber bands because over time, staples and paper clips will rust, rubber bands will dry out, and all of these will cause damage to the documents that you're trying to save. So after that, I label the folder. And this would be my more permanent label, where I put the who, the what, and the when. So an example of a proper folder title for myself would be, for example, would be Henry Thumb Algebra Homework from 1954. So I know that it is my family member Henry Thumb, And that bunch of documents in the folder is his algebra homework, and this algebra homework was dated at 1954. If I do not know the date of when a document is, you can always write undated. And then after I have all of my folders, I arrange them in a logical order. Which is, so I organizing, putting them into a box. So this comes into the idea of a series or sub-series. So a series is a group of similar records that are arranged according to a filing system and that are related as a result of being created, received, or used in the same activity. So you can have a sub-series, and then it can go down to a series, and then down to a sub-series into a folder. And it can be broken even further if need be. For an example, I'm going to go into my permanent.org materials right here, and we're going to go into my Richard Thumb collection and to my papers. And you can see here right now I have a couple series. It's still in work in progress. So I have education papers, where some education papers are right now. I just have a folder of Barbara Thumb's North Dakota high school completion certificates. If you go into family documents, I have more folders in there, which would be like letters, and then we have family correspondence. So birth announcements, birthday cards. So, and then financial documents, where I have sub-series. So a sub-series of bank records, a sub-series of records from Cass County Electric Cooperative, a sub-series of Crane Johnson Lumber Company, a sub-series of dairy financials, and various other sub-series of documents. This separating them out into series like this will also help you faster pinpoint the subject that you're looking for, and then being able to find it, and then there it is, just quicker searching for you or anyone that you want to use your collection. So with that, that is the basics of arranging your collections. So what I'll be doing next is I'll actually be recording myself arranging some of my own family history collections. So I'll be continuing to work on my Richard Thumb family history. I have a giant tote that I have to go through. And so I'll record myself doing that, so you can watch me going through these steps of how I organize the collection, reorganize it, remove staples, paper clips, and rubber bands, refoldering them. And then from here, we'll go on to describing them and digitizing them and caring for the physical collections. So follow along in this series, and I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. Bye.